Today, we're gonna break down the grand finals between G2 Gozen and Shopify Rebellion from the VCT Game Changers Champions. But I gotta quickly mention something first. The holidays are here, and of course, that means it's time to rank up in Valorant. You don't know what you need to do? Don't worry, Santa Valorant Tracker's got your back. Wanna know which days you frag the best? Click on the Trends tab and go crazy. How about which agents you carry the hardest on? The Agent tab's got you covered. Curious on what your best map is? Give the Maps tab a visit. Sad that Sovereign Guides hasn't released a guide on your favorite agent yet? No comment. But hey, the Guides tab is a great place to get you started. So treat yourself this holiday and get access to all these incredible stats by downloading Valorant Tracker for free using my link in the description below. Thank you Valorant Tracker for sponsoring this portion of the video. G2 opened with all 5 players, B club. They want to all execute B through B long. Shopify opened with 2 players looking to aggress and take control of A main. They have 2 players playing streets and a player anchoring B from back halls. Shopify's game plan for this setup is to focus on holding control of A main and streets. As a result, Art is open and B long is weak. So they have a chamber trip holding info for Art and they have 2 Asher Stars B long, prepped to immediately slow down the B long push. Let's see how this round plays out. The barriers drop, Flowerful hops into the off angle A main. KP fade eyes deep A main. The eye sees nothing. G2 is not A main, cool, so they have to be mid or B. So KP rotates towards mid to reinforce Art. Meanwhile, G2 delays their push and just hold for the first few seconds. If Shopify were to do an aggressive push up B long, G2 don't want to be caught out in this choke point.
On the defending side, let's see what they can do with a grand final in front of them.
Stacked up with 5 here, looking as if it's going to be a contact play here. Potentially Petra almost considering the Prowler. Bonita does get the information early enough here. No rotation coming through just yet.
Bonita jump peeks and she spots 3 players of G2, but the other 2 were not seen. From Shopify's perspective, G2 could be trying to split B through mid, or there could be a lurker towards A. So Flowerful push up A main, and the 2 streets players prepare to take a fight mid doors. But G2 know they've been spotted. They call to speed up their execute.
I might pull, but it looks like Shopify might even just commit to a little bit of a retake.
They prowler in.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if
The Sage Wall comes up, giving G2 a free plant. Shopify street players called a fast retake. Wait, what? Mary absolutely obliterates Shopify's retake.
does at least
Bonita looks for a 1v1 to equalize the numbers, but gets insta-killed by Mary. 5v2 in favor of G2. Look at the post-plant positions. G2 are double posted halls. 3 players long, holding the halls players back. Shopify is retaken from spawn and streets.
So baffled as to what the hell's just happened. It was looking like it was posturing for that slower retake style, but now
Giuliano takes contact. G2's hall players double swing. They see nothing, but KP timing them. She's already all the way up close.
swing comes out. They're waiting for that next step. KP puts one on the board, looks for another, doesn't get it. Flowerful though does find Petra, and now Mary. Are you seriously gonna get the ace started? No, and it will be down to the last 2 to add security, and they do just that.
And G2 take the pistol round. Shopify on the save, G2 on their anti-eco round. G2 have weapons that are better at long range, so they call to hit B through B long again. Since Shopify only have pistols, they want to band together and fight with numbers. They all call to stack A and retake B, with Flowerful playing up with their TPs to get early info.
So around Flowerful, potentially going to be tested early on here. Going to pick up this close angle. Mary's
G2 exerts pressure, Flowerful gets pushed away.
That's play a little defensively here, down to 35 HP. G2 just look to pile on the pressure here. Only one member of Shopify coming across here is Laurie to try and help out with an early flash potentially.
Yeah, patient work coming in, and G2.
And Mary draws first blood, securing the site for G2. G2 starts planning. Shopify all regroup Heaven. They smoke off the edge of Heaven. This smoke lets Shopify waterfall out of Heaven from all sorts of angles, like the freaking Avengers. Will G2 expect this retake strat? But there's a gap in the smoke, and Sonder gets punished for it. But the retake must go on.
Petra punishing Sonder. All said and done. Yeah, they have no idea. It's a slaughter.
And G2 mow down Shopify. The moment G2 saw Shopify's Heaven smoke, they knew exactly what Shopify was planning and prepared a beautiful crossfire to shut down the play. So because the broadcast spent too much time replaying last round's highlights, we're thrown right into the game. But look at what both teams are doing. Shopify are aggressing B long with 3 players, smoking off club to maintain ramp control, while the rest of the team is playing back. But unfortunately for Shopify, G2 are working towards an A split. This misread from Shopify might just give G2 a free A site. G2 push up A main. They see nothing. A main control is theirs. At the same time, G2's mid players also successfully take art control. Flowerful calms all the noise she hears mid. Laura kill knives B long and the knife scans nothing. Shopify quickly realized that G2 aren't B long, so all their B players immediately sprint back to rotate. But G2 are one step ahead. They call to commit to the A split. Juliana sends out her Yoru TP from A main as Glance puts down her Astra smokes.
Anything else? A lot of pressure put on Benita's shoulders.
With A-Link smoked off, Juliana TPs into A-Link to create a crossfire. A-Link is secured, the site is next. But Shopify are quickly rotating in. G2 need to execute now.
Juliana making use of the TP there, actually to split through up, but Glance just swings onto Benita.
Yeah, confidence. And this is what's scary about G2 is that they start getting more and more confident. That is now a rifle removed. They're down to 4 remaining. These are all upgrades that I'm sure G2 would love to get. And they're happy to take a couple of fights here. It's all filtering in through from CT. 2 towards pit, 2 towards the alley. Lovely response. Flowerful going to do some damage. Waiting on the next piece of utility. Mary does not care. Could not.
An explosive play from Mary. KP in a 1v3 decide to save. G2 just won their bonus round. Their economy is about to snowball out of control. Shopify opened with the same setup as their pistol round. Fade and Chamber looking to take A main control, Kayo and Neon holding down streets. Art and B-side are going to be weak. Shopify are on a save, so they just want to do as much damage to G2's economy as they can. As for G2, everyone is starting towards club. G2's plan is to use their better guns to execute B through B long. This opening matchup is basically a repeat of pistol round, except Juliana has more money on the Yoru this time, so she placed a clone towards A. She's also prepping a Yoru TP lineup from spawn to spice things up. The barriers drop, Shopify aggress A, keeping Fade eyes up high. It sees nothing except for the Yoru clone marching forward alone. Just like me. Shopify realized G2 aren't A, so KP leaves while Flowerful continues to hold A main control from an off angle. Meanwhile, G2 slowly work up. They're doing their due diligence and not rushing their B take, just in case Shopify decide to aggress B long. Oh, and also probably because the TP's taking its sweet time.
Is that the sound it makes?
Yep.
Bonita jump spots and sees 2 G2 players. The jig is up, G2 speeds up their B hit. In response to that info, KP Fade Prowlers are in mid. The Prowler sees nothing. Shopify call to proactively take mid control. A great reaction. G2 have B long and B site, Shopify take mid and A main. Juliano triggers a fake Yoru TP back halls. Bonita gets close to the smoke, ready to punish. G2 clears the site, Sage walls up to plant. Juliano flashes back halls, and Mimi runs into the smoke and wins the spray down. But while all this was happening, Shopify begin their triple flank. Glance is gonna peek off the chamber trip, but she's alone in a 1v3.
And again, look at the buy here. We do have the Sheriff, so this isn't a full purchase or anything of the such. And now the pressure comes through, and Glance just so cool under it. There's the trade for KP. Needs a lot more though. Tagged up, 12 HP. Horn goes up, but Mary unafraid.
KP limps away with 12 HP, looking to save her rifle. Flowerful has nothing to lose, so she tries to see if she can do some damage.
I think there's going to be any option for KP to find value with this. Flowerful though, they come through. Not a consolation onto Mimi, but...
Time runs out, the spike detonates. G2 win their anti-eco round, giving them a 4-0 lead. This is the first gun round of the game, but G2 have all the momentum and their economy is flourishing. If G2 win this round, they're going to snowball out of control. This is a round Shopify cannot afford to lose. G2 opened with a 2-1-2 default. They left the spike in a neutral spot top mid, so G2 want to feel out the map before deciding where to end. Shopify opened with a 3-0-2 setup. They want to aggress B long and fight for ramp control. To help with that, they have 2 Asher Stars jammed in the club choke. They're leaving mid open and they're going to have 2 players turtling on A, and Flowerful has her chamber op online. So this round, Shopify are going to be very strong B long and A, while their mid hold is basically non-existent. How will G2's default respond to the setup? The barriers drop, Shopify aggress B long. The KO knife, Neon stun, Astra smoke and suck. B long controls theirs. G2 responds by sending in the Yoru clone and flash. Shopify prowlers and stuns. The dust settles. B long control is still Shopify's. From G2's perspective, they just saw a barrage of util B long. KO knife, fade prowler, neon stun. So G2 know that at least 3 Shopify players are pushed up B long, meaning there's a gap in the defense either mid or A. So the rest of G2 activate. Petra pushes mid doors. Mimi and Glance push up A main. Petra lurks into streets, sees no one, and hears Shopify's chamber trip. G2's A main players also slowly clear A main. A main controls G2's. Bonita's game sense is tingling, so she devises a play. She recalls her A main smoke, baiting G2 to cross A main.
Just on the other side of this trap, Difference being Flowerful.
And it works. Glance caught out in the open, but Flowerful misses. At the same time at B-Long, Juliano sends out her Yoru TP. It brushes right past Thunder and KP, so they can see the TP. This tells them that maybe G2 are working back B-Long, so they fade dog around the corner for info. Mary breaks the Prowler with her op. In the split second, Juliano knows that a fade dog close might mean Shopify is pushed up and stuck at the choke. So Juliano throws a Yoru flash and TPs B-Long.
Pause.
Look who's behind them.
But her read was off. Shopify were not as pushed up as she thought, and she gets mowed down. But Juliano's death was not in vain. She got info that 3 whole Shopify players are up B-Long, confirming that A is Shopify's weaker site. G2 want to take advantage of that now. But Shopify also know that's G2's line of thought. So after the pick, all 3 Shopify players immediately sprint back to stack mid and A. But G2 are already activating. They drop an Asher Smoke Flower, smoking off Shopify's op. Bonita instantly responds with her own smoke A main. But right as the smoke blooms, she sneaks into it. G2 will not expect this insane timing.
Throughout the map, but they're not really overcommitting. The spike is still by spawn, but it's going to be on Bonita. Nice play around the smoke this time. Keeps cool, keeps composed, needs to keep her life, and she does. Takes one with her as she backs away towards pit, looking for the follow-up on Petra. Just biding time, buying precious seconds for support, and they are here now. Finally, she's not alone.
Huge shot for Flowerful as well. Mary eventually coming through with that operator. Headhunter in hand now. Going to try and challenge with Flowerful.
One by one, G2 falls, and Shopify claw back, taking the first step towards a comeback. G2 open with a 2-1-2 default. Same as last round, G2 just want to work the map before deciding where to end. As for Shopify, they open with a 1-3-1 setup. They have 3 players towards mid and 1 on each site. Now let's talk about the Asher stars placed in this pre-round phase. In mid, G2 have a star right on top of Shopify's chamber trip. This is because last round, Petra learned that Shopify liked placing their chamber trip in this exact spot. So this round, they have an Asher star there, ready to turn into a smoke to enable a lurk play. As for Shopify, their mid Asher star turns into a smoke to help hold down Art. Now look at the stars B. Remember how last round Shopify hard aggressed B-Long? This is the exact same deep smoke they used to smoke off club, except this round they're not pushing up long. So because Shopify have just shown that they're capable of pushing B-Long, this deep Asher star is suddenly scarier and demands a lot more respect. But the star that's most applicable to you and your ranked games is probably this B-Long star. G2's been placing this default star almost every single round so far. This star is actually for attackers to recall, giving attackers cover to cross to ramp without being seen. This is terrifying for defenders because now they can't just hold the left angle, they also need to worry about a double peek from ramp. That's why this Asher star B-Long is probably the most common default star you'll see on Pearl. The same theory also applies to G2's A main star. But enough about stars, let's hop right into the round, just like how you're about to hop right on that like and subscribe button. The barriers drop, Shopify walk up Art, KP fade eyes A main, which gets instantly broken by G2. G2's chamber and Yoru walk up club and begin working B-Long. At the same time in mid, Shopify pops their Art smoke and both Sandra and KP sneak into the smoke, waiting for an ambitious lurker. Speaking of ambitious lurkers, Petra walks out mid alone.
Responding kindness, that lovely evolution here. And Flowerful.
Got to be careful here.
There's a swing. Juliano is closing in on this.
Flowerful gets pushed back. In mid, Petra finds a huge timing on Lori, but she gets spotted by KP's Prowler. Sandra slides in, taking down Petra. Mid control is Shopify's. G2 have B-Long and A main, but the spike is left alone all the way back in shop, just like how my mom forgot me at the grocery store when I was 4. G2 need to retrieve the spike, but Shopify have mid control, meaning they could be holding the spike hostage. So G2's A main players retreat to work back the spike. Juliano throws a Yoru TP lineup from B-Long. Shopify actually decide to back off after their mid pick, but G2 don't know that. The TP is on the move. Mary also backs up to help retrieve the spike. The TP is still on the move. G2 clears top mid and shop. The spike is secured. Juliano takes the Yoru TP. She's deep in enemy territory. G2 know Shopify's op is B, so they call to end A. But little do they know, A is Shopify's strong site. How will this turn out?
I think we did see a fake earlier on, maybe round 2, or the pistol for this.
Benny could be so
Yeah,
dead here.
Bonita is going to be completely caught off guard here.
Yeah, no idea that this has happened. Responding patient.
Juliano picks off Bonita. Shopify fade eyes A main, the eye sees nothing, so they call to double aggress Art before they get pinched by the Yoru. But as a result, A site is completely open for G2 to take.
That one victim more than enough, and sadly, it falls down to the 2 who are kind of tucked towards Art, looking for that play back in. KP one of them, and Sonda the other. Cross now caught. Glance goes down, ball goes up. And a little bit of a fight, but taking a lot of damage, yeah. I'm looking at Giuliano again. The assassin in the night. Rez comes out, back up to superior numbers by a substantial margin. And the last two players don't really have much of a say in this. Ooh, come on, Flowerful, as if you do that.
With both Shopify players low on health, they call to save. G2 take the round. They are now up 5-1. What can Shopify do? Shopify saved an op and a rifle from last round, but the rest of the team cannot afford to full buy. They looked at the score. Yep, down 1-5. They looked at G2's economy. They're ahead, but not completely out of control just yet. But Shopify know that if they save this round and give G2 one more free round win, that G2's economy will snowball to the point where they can basically full buy for the rest of the half. And Shopify don't want that. So they take a gamble. They call to all in on a force buy. It's now all or nothing for Shopify. G2 open with everyone towards the A site. Their game plan is to keep it simple and execute A through A main. As for Shopify, they open with 3 A main. Their call is to aggress A main together with the weaker weapons. Well, Lori's the exception since she could actually afford a rifle. Both teams want A main control. This could get very chaotic. The round starts, Shopify walks up A main. In mid, Shopify smoke top mid and fade eye shot. By doing this, Shopify are faking mid control to hide their A aggression. They smoke up deep A main. Shopify have all of A main control, but G2 want to challenge this.
So their prep time may be somewhat limited here, but we'll have to see what they've been able to...
G2 Yoru ults for info.
Moments past, Giuliano.
Giuliano sees 2 Shopify players.
That third player.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Sonda's still unchecked, but she's committed to this. Giuliano just going to crunch them down. There's going to be the flash, and here comes the crunch. Laurie deals with the back line. Giuliano gone. Laurie somehow found the second two, and Sonda went absolutely mad on that one. Laurie is still holding this together by the finest of margins.
The dust settles, Shopify are up 3v2, and they know that the last 2 G2 players are in A main, so KP starts flanking, keeping G2 contained while Flowerful rotates to A to double up on site with Laurie. G2 know the dire situation they're in, so they call to quickly commit A.
Any pressure here for her. Laurie, though, actually able to reset. Still actually on 100 HP, gets the 4th on the round here.
Yeah, Laurie is having a tear. This is a fantastic round and isn't going to be able to get it.
And Mimi slays 2, bringing it to a 1v1. She looks like she's aware that KP's flanking.
KP has full utility. Everything that she needs. This is now going to reveal Mimi's position. Decay down, Prowler in, the gap closing, and KP!
And Shopify take the round. The gamble forced by paid off. There's now life in Shopify's eyes. Shopify call a timeout because they know that whoever loses the next round will have their economy completely shattered. G2 open with a 1-1-3 default. They want to take A main control and make a lot of noise while doing so. This way, Mary and Petro might be able to work a pick on the other side of the map. Shopify open with the exact opposite setup. They start with a 3-1-1, heavier towards the B site and lighter towards A. Both teams are focusing on opposite sides of the map. Let's see how this turns out. The barriers drop, G2's A main players charge forward.
Towards B long. G2 actually. Spike not committed just yet, so a little bit of a probe.
A main controls G2's. Shopify smokes A main in response. They know that G2 just made a lot of footsteps towards A, and the B long players saw nothing cross. So Laurie shifts off B to pick up streets, and Saunders sprints towards A. G2 also know that Shopify are probably rotating right now, so Mary and Petra start working up.
Looks as if she's going to try and set up a TP lineup here, probably into the back lines once again.
Petra was spotted mid doors. This tells Shopify that G2 might be working mid, so KP responds by fade parloring art for info. Petra breaks a parlor and also gets scanned by Laurie's KO knife. Giuliano sends out a TP from A main. While all this noise was happening mid in A main, Mary starts inching up B.
Petra this time does get met by a little bit of force. You can see the Prowler committed through command, so that's kind of...
And Mary wins the op 1v1. B is weak, so Sandra immediately starts sprinting towards B. She decides at the last second to actually go through sewers. Giuliano takes a TP into spawn. Sandra heard that.
This is a problem. Divide's going to go up as well. Giuliano, dirty angle to play with here, but on the other side of that wall, timing is everything, and they might just miss each other. Saunders!
And Sonder gets the pick. You know, if Giuliano had waited until her team's Astra ult came up before TPing to spawn, Sonder wouldn't have been able to hear the TP, and that would have been a sick combo to pull off. Anyways, while that was happening, G2 calls to regroup A main. Mimi and Glance double peek out of the A main smoke and pick up Anita. KP responds with her fade out. Petra fade outs her back. The execute begins.
Back, but still G2 are moving towards the site itself.
They're getting enough of a distraction here to at least get the plant down.
Spike is planted, G2 are up into 4v3. Post-plant positions. G2 have 3 A main, 1 stuck on site. G2 know that Shopify have KO ult for retake, so Glance moves all the way back A main, so she's out of the KO ult range, so she can Asher suck the Spike off tap. G2's win condition is to stall the defuse and run down the clock.
But of course Shopify Rebellion don't know that yet. They have no idea. They're going to pop the ult off the back of Laurie. Try and clear that cubby. Still need to deal with default on site. Petra is here. Now she may be dead to rights, but she buys a couple of seconds. And now we look towards that deeper post plant. The wall goes up, coming down from Sonder. That's not a bad idea. They're getting more than half. They ain't stopping. They've got to deny it, and they can't.
And Shopify diffuses the spike right under G2's noses. Wait, why didn't Glance Astra suck? Did she actually get suppressed? I hopped into a custom game to find out. Okay, ult now.
You are
Wait, it gets the cubby? Dude. It extends all the way back here. That is actually wild. So G2 actually lost this round the moment they decided on a game plan that was doomed to fail. Heartbreak for G2. And Shopify take yet another step to close the gap. G2 opened with all 5 towards the B side. They want to work towards a B hit. Shopify opened with 1 B, 2 streets, and 2 A site. Now look at Shopify's Astra Stars B long. This is the crux of their strat. The round starts, Benita recalls her Astra smoke and sucks B long. Sonder Neon Suns B long too. This looks like Shopify's B long aggression from round 5. But immediately after, Sonder leaves B long to stack streets. Shopify's plan is to fake B long aggression to bait G2's mid lurker to walk through double doors. And from there, 3 Shopify players will be waiting and ready to pounce. And while Util was going off B long, KP also fade-eyes Shop.
And it's humbled the money from G2, so that's put
But Petra beat the timing and walks out mid undetected. Shopify may not expect this lurk timing. G2 sees all this Util B long, but they call Shopify's bluff. They call to execute a B split. But first, Petra wants to use her timing to see if she can find something.
Put them down to the Sheriffs and a couple of Guardians. This could be enough to at least tie up the score, kind of aim to get in that all even again. G2 going to be put to work here.
Contact is taken, Petra backs off. This prompts Benita to rotate off A. She can rotate this early because Flowerful is set up A main with a ROP and there's a trip holding Art. G2 finishes regrouping, 3B long and 2 mid. Remember when Petra peeked into streets, she only saw 1 player? She doesn't know that there's actually 3 Shopify players camped in streets right now. This might be disastrous for G2's mid players.
Oh, well, actually, Sonder and KP got a little bit of a crossfire set up here. G2 looking to pressure on both sides as well towards B long. Maybe might even have a, Will Spot picks it out of place. Don't want to commit to it just yet though. Look at the
G2 narrowly escapes Shopify's trap. They now know that Shopify have 3 streets, meaning B long is probably weak. So G2's B long players start scaling up. Giuliano TPs. Wait, suddenly Shopify are the ones surrounded by G2. The execute begins. Giuliano lurks up heaven, sees nothing yet. Lori hears footsteps, so she lobs a flash. But Glance wasn't flash and one taps Lori. In streets, G2's mid players start scaling up. Sonder picks off Mimi, but she didn't see Petra.
Blunted on the site. There it is, Petra.
1-for-1 trade, but G2 have all of site control. The rest of Shopify are still rotating.
We're down to 3, Benita, Flowerful, and Sonder. And Giuliano's position is a problem because Benny walks right into it, unawares. And the follow-up should be a trade. Good. Flowerful at least gets us back to a 2v2, but it's still these deeper positions, and Sonder's HP is so low. So little to play with in this, but wants to try and get it going. Mary's still standing, and she is terrifying. All goes through for Sonder. They should note some of this. How close can she get? The crossfire's decent for this. Glance should take contact. Actually able to find the 1v1, and now it's getting messy. Flowerful.
Very well played by Shopify. Sonder knew she was low, so she wanted to play close with Flowerful to get traded out. Shopify Neon Wall to cross and clear Haws together. Once Haws is cleared, they double peek out. Sonder's movement throws off Glance's shot and Glance gets taken down. Shopify have no idea where Mary is, so Sonder does a 360 jump peek out of Haws, completely throwing off Mary's crosshair, setting up Flowerful for an easy trade. G2 open with a 2-1-2 default. They want to work the map, get info, and decide what to do from there. Shopify open with a 1-3-1 setup. They are heavily focused on mid this round, with only 1 player on each site. Let's see what happens. The barriers drop, G2 start working at B long.
Put G2 in an awkward position in terms of the finance.
Flowerful misses and TPs away. Sonder shifts to B site, but Petra can hear Sonder rotating. She thinks she might have found an opening mid, so she walks up. Meanwhile, G2's A main players have been quietly posted up. They don't see any Shopify utility main, plus they know Shopify's op is B side, so they start working up A main. Back in mid, before Petra could lurk through mid doors, Lori throws a KO knife mid, which Petra instantly breaks. Petra's position is now known, so she starts backing off. Sonder rotates back towards streets off that info. Petra wants to show a bit more presence mid though before she retreats, so she fade prowlers into Art. start. The Prowler detects Lori, who promptly repositions right after. But Shopify aren't going to play to G2's pace. They fade eye out mid, the eye sees nothing. KP fade Prowlers out, Thunder follows it. Mid control is now Shopify's. Petra is rotating towards B, and Mimi is doing the same, leaving Glance as a lurk towards A. G2 are calling to end B. Speaking of B, Giuliano throws a Yoru flash and TPs into halls.
I think it was Petra fell off this. They are quickly clearing, so they're aware they're starting to lead towards the site. Flowerful.
1-for-1 trade. B site is completely G2's. Shopify know this too, so they call to take space shop. Mimi is mid-rotate, picking up the spike on the way. Will she expect Shopify to be in shop?
Mimi in spawn.
Absolutely, Mike's the spike's been left here. Mimi completely done the
She won't. Shopify have full control of the spike. G2's going, oh, this isn't good. Mary and Petra scramble back up B long to retrieve the spike. Glance knows she needs to make a play ASAP, so she lurks through A main. She hears Lori running art, so she knows she has the timing. Keep in mind, Flowerful is dead, so her chamber trip is deactivated. Will Lori be aware of this flank?
No, they can break the money of G2. Glanzo on the backstab. This
Glance assassinates Lori. Suddenly, the tides have turned. The two Shopify players camping the spike in spawn are now surrounded, about to be closed in. Bonita, who's on the outskirts, needs to make a play before it's too late.
Petra to get something done here. Bonita gonna catch.
Bonita picks off Glance. This kill flips the advantage right back into Shopify's favor. G2 now need to worry about both the spawn and shop angle. Time is running out. G2 need to move quickly.
Makes it even harder here. Mary's found the opener though.
Thunder, better get ready. They're gonna go for the fight on this. 18 seconds, Popsy. Oh,
Sheesh!
Sprays
Sonder
and praise.
knew Mary was opping, so she made herself as hard to hit as possible, and she completely shatters G2's ankles. G2 take a timeout. Suddenly, the score is 5-5. Shopify were down 0-4 at one point, and now they've managed to tie it up. 2 more rounds left in the half. Both teams have a good feel on how the other plays. What kind of adaptations will we see? G2 open with all 5 players club. They're on a save round, so they don't want to play a slow default since they're heavily disadvantaged in 1v1s. So they call to fast execute B through B long. As for Shopify, they've learned from the last round that mid control is the key to winning. So this round, they have 4 players towards mid. Shopify want mid control. The barriers drop, KP fade eye shop. The eye sees nothing, shop is clear. Flowerful peeks in post top mid with their chamber op. Shopify have all of mid control right now. At the same time, G2 start working at B long. Giuliano Yoru clones and flash.
Business as usual, and it looks like a bit of a
Petra fade prowlers to clear the close angles. In response to all this noise B long, Shopify street players all shift towards B, and their mid players walk out to take the space. Flowerful is holding shop from off angle with their op. It's a risky position, but she's still in her TP range. Yes, this is the old patch before Chambers TP got changed. While Flowerful is holding shop, Sandra is holding top mid. Mid control is secured. A perfect reaction from Shopify. Bonita double smoke long. This delays G2's execute, but G2 call to commit B. Just cut noise and wait out the smokes.
Kind of funneled towards long here. No presence elsewhere, it's just the trap.
Mary draws first blood. Bonita responds by spamming through the heaven smoke, and she actually finds a kill. 4v4, G2 takes side control. While this was happening, Shopify's mid players take even more space. Sandra spots a chamber trip, so she neon walls it off to get past it undetected. G2 will not expect this.
side to allow that plant to come in. Spike gonna be going.
Oh wait, Sandra accidentally triggers the trip. G2 are aware of the flank now. They know they're about to get pinched by Shopify, so they throw up this impromptu Astro wall. This wall not only slows down their retake from streets, but it also blocks off the Shopify players pinching from B long. Shopify begin the retake.
Doing the damage here. Backline now being pressured. Sonder, the one to hit the flank here. Divide goes up, but he finds Mimi. Starting to work.
Huge spray down from Giuliano. 2v2, Giuliano Yoru ult to get out and reposition. She slips behind the Astro wall before coming out of her ult. Shopify won't be able to hear that. They have no idea where Giuliano is.
Readjust from Giuliano towards short.
One enemy
TP
Commits to the TP
taken.
as well.
This is bold play, but it's actually worked out, giving them the player advantage and a really nasty angle to have to clear for Sonder if she gets past Mary. And the follow-up needs to be quick. Sonder, not gonna happen. Giuliano.
What G2 did there was so cool. Giuliano had a TP set up in Cubby. She takes the TP, Flowerful turns around in response, and Mary peeks from halls at that exact time, taking down Flowerful from behind. I don't even know what to call that. That was like a TP crossfire double peek. What a sick play from G2. After that, G2 were up in a 2v1. They played for time, not giving Sandra anything until she has no more time to defuse. G2 take back the lead. It's the last round of the half, all or nothing now. G2 on a full buy, Shopify actually not able to afford a full buy. G2 open with their usual 2-1-2 default. Game plan's the same as usual. Feel out the map, figure out what Shopify are up to, and then decide what to do from there. As for Shopify, they open with 4 players A main. They really want A main control. Flowerful is solo anchoring the B side of the map. Let's see what happens. The barriers drop, Shopify quietly aggress A. They instantly place 2 Asher stars to support their play. Mimi sees these 2 stars, she's like, oh hell no, I'm noping out, and she backs off. G2 have a read that Shopify's Asher stars A main isn't a bluff. They know Shopify are aggressing A main, so they call to end B. And the read is right. Flowerful is holding B alone. Giuliano starts working B long.
Focused. And now we see what Shopify Rebellion can do. Similar test, a little bit of a different look, but
Flowerful gets a spam kill before TPing away. Shopify realizes A seems a little quiet right now, so they leave 2 players to hold A main control while Fade and Kayo start shifting towards mid. G2 know Flowerful's been pushed back, so Petra scales up to take more space as G2 begin placing their Asher stars on site. Flowerful sees the stars, she's calling to her team that it's really looking like a B execute, so Shopify's A main players start double pushing. Mimi reses Mary, then G2 begins scaling up B. Meanwhile, Shopify's A main flankers run into a problem. There's a chamber trip holding the flank. But whatever, they break the trip, alerting G2 of their flank. I'm pretty sure Shopify could have just neon walled the trip, but they were probably in a rush since G2 were basically already taking B side at this point. Back to the execute. G2 have side control, but Shopify have 3 towards B link.
could be an unknown angle to potentially worry about. Flowerful, okay, wall goes up, so loses a little bit of the danger from that position, but actually still twice this round now takes down Mary. Spike's gone down, Flowerful!
G2 plants a spike, but not before Flowerful finds 2 picks. Meanwhile, on the flank, Shopify actually split up. They want to first clear both attacker spawn and mid for any potential G2 lurks. They find no one. Glance is holding on the flank and club by herself, and she starts shifting into an off angle.
Flowerful, what the hell was that? Finds Petra.
Contact is taken. Both sides back off. Glance repositions, and Benita calls for Sana to group up and re-challenge Club. G2 know their down numbers. They look for a fight on site. Mimi swings, gets 1, and gets traded. On the flank, Shopify double swings and Glance gets deleted. Giuliano in a 1v4 on site.
Quick trade.
Traded?
Yeah, Giuliano lifted a 1v4. It's done for.
A clean retake from Shopify to tie up the half.